Mitt Romney is not going to sit back and listen to the Bain, I guess what they're calling, the Bain, calling him the king of Bain. He's not going to just listen to it. Let's listen now to this ad. Let's watch this ad. This is the Mitt Romney ad up in South Carolina today.
This is a business Mitt Romney helped start. And this one. And this steel mill. Mitt Romney helped create and ran a company that invested in struggling businesses, grew new ones, and rebuilt old ones, creating thousands of jobs. Those are the facts. We expected the Obama administration to put free markets on trial. But as the Wall Street Journal said, Mr. Romney's GOP opponents are embarrassing themselves by taking the Obama line.
I'm Mitt Romney, and I approve this message.
See, Romney is coming at this from the standpoint that, okay, look at the jobs I created. Now, the net gain in jobs doesn't really matter because it's a net gain in money. The thing that is so abhorrent about the kind of business practice that Bain dabbled in was the fact that even when companies went out of business and were bankrupted, Bain still made money. It didn't matter that these jobs were lost and these companies went into bankruptcy because they made their money beforehand. And what's also further fascinating here, and this is going a little bit below the line with these things. You look at Staples. The claim on Staples, a company that Bain ushered into expansion, was that they created 90,000 jobs. I don't know whether that number is right or wrong. It's a heck of a lot of jobs. But the problem with 90,000 jobs being created is it does not account for all of these small businesses that had to close because a Staples moved into the neighborhood. Anecdotally, I went to this small stationery store to buy pens and staples and whatever for years in my neighborhood. A Staples moved in fairly close by, an Office Depot even closer, and these guys went out of business. They've been in business for 40 years. I understand that is sort of they become the detritus of capitalism sometimes, and businesses will close, and family businesses do close, and they may have closed eventually because their kids didn't want to go into the stationery business, but that's not the argument. They can go in and they can create these businesses with 90,000 jobs while they're cutting jobs everywhere else and outsourcing jobs in other companies. But they're also, it has to be taken into the equation, the mom and pop, the small business stores, the businesses that are closed because of the fact that these monster stores come into neighborhoods. It's why so many communities have voted not to have a Walmart in their neighborhood. It's the exact same reason, because they don't want the small businesses there to close. No matter how much or how little they can sell an item for, in these communities, the communities that have decided not to have Walmarts in them, Inglewood, California being one of them, those communities have said, no, we understand, we're going to pay a little more just to have the jobs and the family-owned businesses in our community. So it's the kind of response that I've been waiting for Romney to make. It's actually a good response. I mean, you look at that ad, it is saying, listen, we took Staples and Sports Authority, they're thriving businesses, they're businesses that a lot of people who see these ads are familiar with. But the point is, Romney doesn't get it. Romney just doesn't get why people are upset with his business practice. He looks at America, and we're going to talk about this later in the show. We're going to talk about Mitt Romney a lot today, and how he looks at America as a business and not a country. He looks at it as a company and not a place full of people. And I just feel that this ad begins that dialogue, because he's going to now have to respond to this. As soon as you engage, they will re-engage. And certainly the president will re-engage as soon as there's a general election, if in fact Romney is the nominee.